You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win.
I don't know why this concept is so hard for some NFL fans to understand. Talked about this exact same thing a week or two ago with Max Crosby and the Raiders, who just fired Pete Carroll after one season of huge embarrassing failure. But it's not Pete Carroll's fault that the Raiders are an embarrassment. Hell, no one can win with this dump of a franchise. But anyway, talked about this a week or two ago with Max Crosby. Players do not tank. Coaches do not tank. Fans want to tank. I'm sure there are some owners who tank. Hell, the Browns, Jets, and Raiders, they have been tanking for decades. Look at where it's gotten them. They no longer need to lose on purpose. They no longer need to lose intentionally. They lose as soon as they step on the field. Right now, some fans of the New York Giants are pissed off. They are outraged. A couple of weeks ago, the Giants were looking at the number 1 pick in the draft. But that damn Jaxson Dart, that little bastard, he had the audacity to go out in the final 2 weeks of the season and beat the Raiders and the Cowboys. How dare this kid be a winner? Instead of drafting first overall, instead of drafting second, the Giants are now the 5th pick in the draft. And their fan base, which has been conditioned to lose, their fan base, which has watched consistent losing for the last 10 or so years, they are pissed off that their lovable losers have finally won. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. In most cases, I do not support tanking. Right now, there are a lot of Mavs fans who want the team to lose intentionally this season. Uncle KC ain't one of them. You don't tank when you have a player like Cooper Flagg. You don't establish a culture of losing when you have a kid on the roster that's well on his way to being the face of the NBA. I could somewhat understand tanking if there was a clear prospect at the top of the draft that could elevate your franchise, revolutionize your franchise. But this year, there's not. And even if there was, the Giants don't need a quarterback. Is Jaxson Dart the guaranteed starter for the next 10, 15 years? Not yet, but we do know he has the potential to be. For a rookie playing on one of the worst rosters in the league, kid had a good season. I don't understand why fans of the Giants would want Jaxson Dart to lose intentionally. Why? Once you establish a culture of losing, it is incredibly difficult to eradicate it. The Saints had a culture of losing for most of the first 22 years of my life. And they damn sure had a culture of losing the 20 or so years before I was born. Which means it took the Saints 40 years to establish a winning culture. If you look at teams in the NFL that consistently lose, for the most part, they are drafting high in the draft every year. Hell, in the last 10 years, the Browns have had the number 1 overall pick twice. The Jets have drafted 2 quarterbacks in the top 3 since 2018. They're still losing. The last 5 Super Bowl winners, Patrick Mahomes, Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, only one of them was the first pick in the draft. Jalen Hurts was drafted in the 2nd round, Tom Brady 6th round. Tanking for the number 1 pick, that does not guarantee success. Tanking for a top 3 pick doesn't guarantee success. If it did, the Jets, Raiders, Browns, they would be winning every year. Players and coaches don't tank. I remember several years ago, I think it was 2022, Final week of the season. Texans needed to lose to secure the number 1 overall pick in the draft. They're playing the Colts at home. They're down 7 points in the final minute of the game. Davis Mills throws a touchdown, but instead of tying the game and going to overtime with an extra point, Texans go for 2, and they convert. They win 32-31, which gave the Carolina Panthers the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Couple hours later, head coach Lovie Smith fired. Panthers end up drafting Bryce Young. Texans drafted CJ Stroud. I don't think I need to tell you who came out ahead in that deal. The point is, losing intentionally does not solve your problem. Landing the number 1 pick, especially in a weak draft, does not solve your problem. If I'm a fan of the New York Giants, I'm not pissed off that we won the final 2 games of the season. I'm happy going into the offseason on a winning streak with a young quarterback in place. Earlier this season, the Saints were well on their way to drafting number 1 overall. I'm glad Kellen Moore refused to tank. I'm glad Kellen Moore put together a winner. I would much rather end the season 6-11 with a 4-game winning streak in there and the quarterback position secure going into the offseason than end the season 1-16 and be drafting number 1 overall. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.